section at the beginning of our meetings. In addition to that, we also have a board email that you can access through our board website, or excuse me, through our Amherst Central School District website. Also on the website, you can find our individual addresses and phone numbers. And we do have two people ready to speak today. Will you please state your name and your address, please? Ms. Zach. I think it's Zach.
Sharon Zach. My name is Sharon Zach, and I live at 229 Springville Avenue. Good evening, my name is Sharon Zach, and I'm co-president of the Amherst Office Personnel Association. I just want to let you know that a number of our members are here and show support for our association. We know Mr. Weil will be speaking to you tonight in executive session regarding our ongoing contract negotiations. We want you to know we feel we've taken a fair and reasonable position with the district, and we thank you in advance for your careful and thoughtful consideration of our position. Thank you.
Second. Dave Stocking. Know your face.
Dave Stocking, 93 Lamarck Drive. Good evening. It's certainly great to be back in this board room speaking to my former colleagues on such a special evening. Knowing I have only 3 minutes, I'm going to read my notes to make sure I get through this in time, so I apologize for that. I once read that according to education experts, a district is only as stable and grounded as its superintendent. More specifically, it is said that longer superintendent tenure has a positive effect on student achievement. Districts that have a revolving door for their superintendents find it very difficult to establish reforms or create programs that make a difference. The average tenure for New York State superintendents is about 4.8 years. Amherst has been very fortunate to have had only 2 superintendents during the past 19 years. This is clearly the result of both the 2 individuals, Dennis Ford and Dr. Chavy, as well as the boards of education that worked successfully with them. As one of the 7 former board members who have selected and hired Dr. Chavy, I would like to thank Dr. Chavy for her dedication and leadership during the past 9 years at Amherst. The district has continued to demonstrate excellence in education through very trying times. Most recently, Amherst faced the challenge of retooling the entire curriculum to meet the Common Core learning standards, implement a controversial teacher evaluation system, and administer New York State mandated TEP assessments. If that wasn't a large enough challenge, New York State decided to cap revenue sources and then reduce state aid with a clever budget gimmick known as gap elimination adjustment. Any one of these initiatives could have been the undoing of many superintendents, but Dr. Chavy provided the necessary leadership to guide her administrative team and faculty through a process that led to a very successful implementation of the new curriculum and the teacher evaluation system. Amherst was well out in front of many other districts, which allowed the faculty to tailor the implementation of the curriculum to their liking, as opposed to using a cookie-cutter solution from the state. In developing a teacher assessment system that combined appropriate local rubrics in addition to the state assessments resulted in buy-in from the Amherst Educators Association. The financial challenges have been daunting. Dr. Chavy helped to lead numerous budget development processes that resulted in minimal impact to the educational program and extracurricular activities. Throughout her tenure, Dr. Chavy navigated plenty of turbulent waters, managing to keep issues from boiling over and getting a life of their own. One of my metrics for a successful superintendent is their ability to keep the district out of the news cycle for controversial issues. Such notoriety typically serves as a distraction to the educational mission and is counterproductive. There was so little controversy to report on during Dr. Chavy's tenure that the Buffalo News stopped sending reporters to board meetings a number of years ago. Another trait of a successful superintendent is the ability to build a successful supporting team. Dr. Chavy has built an exceptional administrative team to support her in leading the district. Recently, one of her team members made the successful leap to a superintendent role in a local district that had previously experienced much turbulence. Your guidance of the team clearly helped to make this district strong. I would like to thank you, Dr. Chavy, for your professionalism and leadership throughout your years leading the district. As you know, we do not always agree, but you always maintained your professionalism and respect for the board. I know that is not easy for any superintendent. I wish you good health and happiness in your retirement and enjoyment with any new venture you want to take. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
One other thing, if I may. I just learned that Doug Wolf, where'd he go? Doug Wolf is also retiring, so he just stretches slightly. I'd like to thank you for all your leadership in the technology program. We were, again, a leader in that area, I think, and the use of the Chromebooks was kind of controversial at the time. It's become a model, and I think we deserve a lot of credit. So, best wishes to you, and we hope you have a happy and healthy retirement. Thank you very much.
We have a great crowd for a really unusual meeting, and one of the reasons why it's unusual is we only have one topic on our agenda, and usually we have more. But I think it's fitting today that we do have just this one topic because it allows us to highlight both of our very wonderful people that will be retiring, going off into the sunset after this meeting. So we have Doug presenting to us today, and Dr. Chavy with her final board meeting. Just a couple of words. Mr. Wolf came in January of 1996. He's been our Director of Technology for 20 years. And I can only imagine, I mean, I can't even imagine what technology was like 20 years ago, but I bet you had a lot of free time. I just can't imagine. And the changes that have gone through, that you have helped implement, are just unbelievable to think about. And to take a line from To Sir With Love, you really took us from crayons to perfume. I mean, you really have taken us from the very beginning to some really cool stuff, and we appreciate that. And you've always done it very carefully, very thoughtfully, and with, a real sensitivity to the fiscal constraints, and we really appreciate that. And we look forward to hearing where we are, or maybe perhaps a little bit where we've come from, but where we are today. And we wish you the best in your retirement. We're going to ask you to come back in a few months to get your crystal apple. We expect you to
Apple, we don't have apples here.
just healthy, relaxed, and enjoying your retirement. So thank you so much for all that you've done for us. You have been here for 9 years, but I'm sure some days it does seem like 20. And as Mr. Stocking has pointed out, you really brought us through a lot of changes. And I tell you, 5 months ago when we talked about you first retiring, it seemed like you'd be here forever, but the day has finally come, and it's a bittersweet day. We wish you the best. During the last couple of months, I've just chatted casually with people, and when we talk about you, some of the same words keep coming up. That you're always been trustworthy, conscientious, consensus builder, always there for the kids, always respectful. I think that, and all those words, whenever anyone said them, it was with a twist of sadness, because they really, we're all going to miss you. A lot. And we wish you the best in your retirement. We wish you great health, great fun, great adventure. And we also understand that you're going to come back to help us with Show Us Your Stripes. So we'd like to give you our crystal apple. And thank you. I also have something else so that you will not forget that you're an Amherst Tiger.
You can't forget that ever.
Little coffee mug for you. And this custodian says you can take your name. Just in case people don't remember who you are, maybe we can keep it here for the day. But anyway,
What am I ever going to do with it?
wish you the best. So much. Thank you. Enjoy yourself.
Well, thank you.
Gotta make the rounds, we all need cards, right?
Okay.
I'll bend down.
Thank you. back to the. We have to hold it together for a few more
Can I
minutes.
at least say a couple things?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I just want to, because I'm really not going to have an opportunity to just say a couple words that I feel are important to just say. A little more overwhelmed than I thought I would be. I mean, as happy as I am to be retiring and moving on, as all of us would be, and this is what we work for. I'm truly honored and privileged to be retiring from this school district, to be quite honest. And I have to begin, and I'm glad you're here tonight, Dave, by thanking that Board of Education that hired me 9 years ago. I knew when I interviewed for this position that this was an incredibly special place. And I was well advised time and time again to make sure that when you come to a district, it's absolutely the right fit. And when I got that phone call from Mr. Blanford offering me the position, I couldn't have been happier. I was so excited to come here and work in this incredible environment. So following that, I've worked with incredible people and incredible boards, and I can't thank you enough for all of the support that you've given me and given my administrative team. It hasn't always been easy. We haven't always agreed, but we've always found common ground, and we've always found ways in which to do the right things for kids. And that was all we could do. That's all I could ask for. So for that, I will always be grateful. I always tell people that Amherst is the greatest place to work, and it comes with sincerity because everybody, I don't care what role you play in this district. If you're a teacher, administrator, custodian, whatever you do here, these people are so committed and so dedicated and so professional to making sure that all of these kids get everything that they need. And it's unlike other places. It's truly, truly special. And so through that, I've grown personally and I've grown professionally. And it's really a pleasure to come here every day. It absolutely is. There are a couple groups or individuals that I feel I have to mention outside, of course, of my board. First are my administrative cabinet members. You know, you guys have really made me look good, and I appreciate that. They say that you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with, and this is such a great example of that. Again, I know Mr. Stocking talked about what incredible leaders they are. Not only incredible leaders, but such a sense of loyalty and devotion that these people not only had to the district, but to me. That just doesn't happen. And so for that, I will always, always be grateful. You are the best example of what teaming is and what leadership should and could be. So thank you for that. Continue to do that for each other. Continue to support each other like we always have. That's probably my best advice to all of you. Continue to make sure that you take care of each other like we always have over the last 9 years. The other person, of course, is Debbie. I was fortunate when I got hired, for those of you who remember, to have Sharon here before Debbie, and she was obviously outstanding. But then how lucky that I was able to find my Debbie, as I call her. I don't even know how to begin to express to you how much I appreciate everything that you've done. Not only like for me professionally, but as a friend. And I can't even express to you how sincere I feel about that. And whoever's going to end up sitting in this seat doesn't have any idea yet of how lucky they are going to be to have you in their corner. So thank you again. So I wish the district continued success as you go into your new chapter. You should be very proud of everything that you've done. I appreciate so much all the accolades for my leadership, but it really is about all the hard work that the district has done and the Board of Education has done. And I know that you're going to do it in the good old-fashioned Amherst style way and continue to look for ways to improve and to do things better for our kids. Sincerely, thank you for that.
On that emotional note.
Can everybody silence their phones, please?
They're trying. Well, good evening.
Oh, wait, are we ready for that? No. Special committee. Special committee.
Oh, no, you know what? I just today, thank you. Thank you for pulling me back. All right. Do we have any special committees?
The Transportation Committee met, and we did get some information. We're continuing to explore opportunities to save money through our transportation services, especially with the cost of the contract going up so significantly. And we looked into the possibility of having our own transportation fleet, which just is not a possibility. But we did do that exploration of that. We're going to continue to explore the idea of maybe a vehicle or two, and if that'll be a possibility. But we did have an opportunity to save some money, and some students were being transported on small buses that didn't need to be, and so we were able to move them to larger size buses, and the cost differential between the large buses and the small buses is very significant. And so this is going into effect this week, and the annual cost of this change will save us about $400,000. So it's going to be about $200,000 for this year. That's before transportation aid. So, you know, it really is only going to net out to be maybe $60,000, which is still a significant amount of money. You know, so that really was a great opportunity, and Ms. Conley and Ms. Cardeman were able to really make that happen and affect that. So it's a huge win for the Transportation Committee on their behalf. But we're continuing to look at other things, and you know we'll be continuing to meet and moving forward and not stop until we uncover every stone.
Great, thank you. Other committee reports? Now, I turn it over to you.
I will introduce Mr. Wolfett to do his final presentation to the community and to the Board of Education. I also would like to graciously thank you for everything that you've done here. You've been here the whole time I have, so I've only known the best, quite honestly, in terms of what I've been able to observe and how far we've come. And many times Doug would come into my office and say, "We can do this. You know, let's try it. You know, we're ahead of the curve here, but I've looked into different things. Not only is it going to save us money, but it's going to make it more efficient." And I just, you were always looking for things and really making sure that this district was ahead of things. And for that, I'll be grateful, as well as your friendship and you as a colleague and as part of our administrative team. You've been a very, very valued member of our team, and you will be missed.
Appreciate it.
I know you will. I mean, I will be missing you anyway because I'm not going to be here. But you will be
You can
missed.
drive to worship.
So we'll give you the
Appreciate
floor.
it. You know, it's funny that you recognize not only this board, but Dave Stackman had to leave, but I actually had to fund Paul Bott's re-election campaign back to work from when I was here. It was quite a while ago, so. But thanks for having us. The other night we had talk about just some of the progressions over the past years, and I'll talk about them later. But the other night we had the ability to present to the Erie County School Boards Association. And it became clear, and Dr. Fraser said something to me when I walked in too, that we have been ahead of the curve. And if you don't think about it until you kind of get retrospective, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but you know, the support of the board and you has helped to make that happen too. Because whether I come in and say we should do it or not, whether it gets done, are usually two different things. So. The way we started every technology committee, the slide is from last year, but we try to use it every time we have a meeting. And it just kind of goes over the big parameters of the technology committee. And our goal is to manage a sustainable, dynamic plan for the acquisition, purchase, implementation, utilization, and the maintenance of technology resources, all with the ultimate goal of assessing the impact of teaching and learning. And you know, you have to add in there administrative too. There is an administrative aspect of it, but the main goal of the tech committee focuses on this each time we meet. And towards that, towards our vision that we talked about, we kind of have this 4-point checklist of things that we do, and before any requests for materials or supplies or people, whatever, is made, and it starts with a consistent platform. When you talk about when I started in '96, Windows was the only thing there was. There wasn't even a computer in every classroom at that point. So a consistent platform now for us clearly is the Google Apps platform is probably number one. Windows is number two. To build an infrastructure that supports that platform, that's clearly the network and the wireless to support all these wireless devices that we've been adding has been seamless so far with the help of the capital project. Sufficient staff development. Every time we talk about bringing in a program or bringing in equipment, we talk about how we're going to teach the teachers to do it. With the most recent rollout of tablets, Google's tablets, the teachers can't get their set until they get their hands on them, get some in-service. It could be quick in-service. They're not particularly difficult to learn, but we make sure that they know how to use them the minute they hit the ground with them in their classroom. And to provide the sufficient personnel to support that level of program provided. So you got to have the people that can also teach how to put the equipment. So really those four things balance, to me, for a good technology plan, make sure that the equipment is not wasted and put into service at a good time. Last year we talked a lot about, we also talked about it over the summer at some of our planning sessions, what our vision was. The next big vision for technology is clearly going to be one-to-one. There are some districts surrounding us that have tried one-to-one at different levels, different grades, and with different amounts of success. And we feel that we can meet our goal somewhere between almost this fall of 2016 and 2018. And the reason we can do that is, again, your support. This year in particular, we've got an awful lot of mobile devices towards a goal that I'll discuss in a minute. But as we get closer, it seems to be a reality. The word that does concern me with this goal is that sustainability number, where we have to be cognizant of what needs we'll have in the future financially to replace these equipment as they get older. So right now, we talked about Chromebooks earlier. 2,800 Chromebooks are now in the hands of students. Last year at this time when I presented, it was only 1,650. We spent a bulk of our money this year on Chromebooks to try and bring, right now, 6th through 7th and a half, just about, or almost all Chromebooks. High school has a lot, and grades 3 through 5 are total Chromebooks. In addition to that, and I mentioned this last year, we're really not going to be building on our iPad inventory at all. That's the same 220 that we had last year. iPads, it's funny, as I talked to some of my neighboring tech coordinators, I don't want to pat myself on the back. Everything I said about iPad management came true. They're single-use devices. They're a bear to manage in a network environment. And a lot of the schools are falling this way, too, to not replace their iPads and looking towards something else. So what's the replacement? The Google Tabs work seamlessly with their Google Apps accounts. Everything that's on a Chromebook is also available on their tablets. We now have 408 of those in, only 120 last year at this time. And we still have our teachers having their access for their Chromebooks, and it's been kind of fun on these staff development days because it used to be a concern. We had to schedule all the labs everywhere and spread everyone out. Doesn't matter now. 70, 80 people show up in the middle school library for staff development. They're in, there's no issues. It's really made, I think, a great impact on that. And that does get us closer to the one-to-one. And you could be adding up in your head, all right, we got 2,800 here and 408 here. That's more than the students that we have. But the way we've deployed them via carts, we have over 100 carts of Chromebooks. There are spares in every classroom. We put them in classrooms, not in the students' hands yet. And one of the challenges, I think, over the next year and a half of the tech committee will be how to do that one-to-one. What's the best model for us? What's the best model for the student and for us being responsible with the financial resources we have? So I think until we're truly giving each student one to take home back and forth, you're always going to have a few more devices than than your enrollment. Still to go, we have about 100 Chromebooks that are just about to be deployed within the next 30 days, and about 50 tablets. Some of those are going to be filled up by the requests that people have sent in to the tech committee over the last year. Infrastructure readiness. We spent a good 3 years getting ready for park testing. That's all you heard from me is we got to get ready for park. We got to get ready for park. We don't have enough equipment for park. What are we going to do about park? The park went away. It got really quiet for about 8 or 9 months, and we all kind of wondered what was going on. It was mostly probably because of park's integration with Pearson that we think that died. But it's been replaced. It's now a company called Questar, and had our first how to put it into use technology session at BOCES last week. And to me, it seems at least immediately in the short time it's been Questar, they're much more organized. They seem to have the threshold set for checklists for technology people like us and curriculum people like Tony to figure out how to get going on the computer-based testing, which we will be doing in the spring. On certain grades and so forth. So I think we're very well ready for that. It seems good that almost every decision we've made has led to being ready for park. Even though park went away, we were still ready. We were still ahead of that trip. So as we mentioned, I'll be retiring. You can't help but get a little retrospective. And I thought, how can I sum up, not my life, but my last 20 years. And it's kind of neat. If you go to a meeting and people say you can come away with one takeaway, it's a great meeting. Well, I feel that over 20 years, there's probably 4 major things that we've done in technology that make me pretty proud. We led the local and the state K-12 community in adopting the telephone system that we have. It seems trivial now, but at the time, nobody was putting in VoIP technology. When I started my first year, we had 2.5 full days of telephones being down because of what was in the district. No telephone communication whatsoever. And that kind of pushed me to say, this is crazy, there must be a better way. The savings were also huge. We went from spending over $83,000 a year in telecommunication costs to $32,000. And that was back then, it's even got cheaper since then. So to me, that was a big thing. That was a big deal, and it's continued to pay us back great savings. We led the local K-12 community by adapting the Google Apps platform. When we did it, we formally adapted it about 2011, almost 5 years ago today, and it was coming around, but nobody had adopted it as their whole platform. There were schools that had some Google Apps accounts for students and so forth, but we jumped into the shallow end and took it on, and the surprise to us was how rapidly the staff took onto it. I was just kind of going through my emails at the time, around that time, and really for about a week or so after that, I had some emails from staff that said, where's such and such thing? I can't find it. And it went away after that. I think if you adapt a whole new platform and it's gone in 10 days to 2 weeks, you've done a pretty good job. And what we're finding now is that our neighboring districts are just kind of hopping on with that. There was a period where, I think last year we talked to 5 local districts, wanted to come in and see how we did it and what impact it's had. And they've all gone ahead and implemented their own Google Apps. That moved the obvious transition into Chromebooks, and that's another thing. I just got I live in Orchard Park and just got the flyer back from them, and they're putting in some test classrooms of Chromebooks, and the impact and the savings compared to laptops and the boot up time compared to laptops has made a huge difference in the classroom. So to add that many devices that has that great an impact, it hasn't really taxed us that much personnel-wise. I thought it was a great accomplishment. And now the last thing I think we'll find out is the Google tablets. I think if I had to predict the future, I think iPads are going to lose their impact. They are talking about making iPads that are multi-user. That will help them, but Apple in general has not been K-12 friendly that way. They're a great instrument in design labs and things like that. They're Macintosh computers, but I think as far as iPads, it's my prediction. I think it should fade away. You'll see that next year, so it's my prediction. And one of the prouder accomplishments, they did it all without Coach's help. They did it all on our in-staff technical staff. We could think about it takes dedication, it takes an awful lot of learning. The learning curve is huge on all this stuff. We don't just call somebody down the street and come do it for us. We've done it all ourselves, and I'm very proud of my staff and how we got that. And, we had some up and down years budget-wise, but essentially a near 0% budget increase over 20 years. Now, that sounds dramatic. Obviously, when I started, one PC was $2,300. That's not true anymore. But it still is a pretty good testament that we're nearing a 1-to-1 at that same budget that we had almost 20 years ago. So, I don't remember when Herb Weinstein left, they always said finally at the end of the newscast. That's kind of how I feel about finally. It's been said, but I've had 2 great superintendents, Laura. You're one of them. I'm not sure which is the best. I don't know. I've had 2 great superintendents, and nobody could ask for more in a 20-year career. The boards have always been supportive, even in our years that we had to do 0% budget increases. You came back the next year if you could, and so forth. So I'm always very appreciative of how the board has accepted technology. And if you look at now the technology goal in your board goals, it still shows how important it is. And it's kind of funny you say how bored I must have been. We were a pretty small entity when I started. And slowly, but I left my broadcasting thing and I had all this equipment I had to know, how to, the commercial machines and the transmitters and the consoles. I came here and all I got to know is Windows and people. That's perfect. And it just grew and grew and grew and grew over the last 20 years. And it came from me and a part-timer, me and a full-timer, and now it's me and 5 other people. And it's because we do it ourselves, and I think we do a darn good job. And I'm very proud of my staff and how it's gone. I'm proud of your support, and I thank you very much, all of you. And with that, that's a wrap.
5 to the sunset here. Can you elaborate briefly on how we maintain security of these devices? Not the physical device, but the information on it, because that tends to come up sometimes when we talk about things being saved and maintained in the cloud, and which is one of the reasons why it's much quicker.
And with Google Apps, they actually kind of make that somewhat easy for us. The Google App Education Platform is treated differently than your Gmail account at home. It's in a different set of servers. It's more protected physically than your Gmail account. And we could never, Google has literally probably thousands of people working on security. If we were still trying to just maintain our own security, there's no way I could match the type of information that they protect for us. I just don't see how that could be. So to hand it off to Google, at first you say, oh, that's not very secure, it's in the cloud. But we had our own service here before with our email information and so forth. That was open to internet attacks as well. So it's Brandon and I trying to protect a server that's open to the world versus thousands of people trying to protect our information on Google. Password-wise, it's as secure as anything else that we do. People still do have their files here, their personal home drive files. A lot of them have started to put it in the cloud as well. But the home directories are stored here and protected here. Just documents, things like that, nothing critical. The other critical data that would be needed to be secure, obviously, is the student information system data, which is housed by Aspen, by Follett Company, which goes through encryption there and back. I mean, everything's encrypted back and forth. And the other most important data I could imagine would be the IEP information, which is also stored off house. All of which I feel is probably a whole lot more secure, frankly, than if we were in charge. Not to say that we don't know what we're doing, I'm just saying it's the numbers. There's a whole lot more hackers out there than there are us. So I feel like it was very secure with Google.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have one other thing, Dr. Carousel, that you need to be recognized this evening. We received from the New York State School Boards Association that you are receiving the Board Achievement Award for participation in New York State School Boards Association Leadership Development Training, totaling 75 points. When you look at it, so you've achieved the level 1, and I know you continue to go to things. So on behalf of us and the school boards, congratulations.
Thank you. Before I ask for a motion for new business, can I ask that we change 1A? It should read approved minutes of January 5th regular business meeting and January 13th. Special business meeting. All right. Have a motion for new business?
I'll make a motion for new business items G1A through G, G2A through P, and G3, C, D, F, G, I, and J.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving items G1A through G, G2A through P, G3C, D, F, G, I, and J, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, do we have any follow-up action items tonight? We don't.
Do we have to find a crystal Chromebook?
Crystal.
You can't have a crystal apple.
Now you're talking.
That is true, but we are going to make Mr. Wolf come back in a few months. So we will recognize you yet again. So, well, she's coming back for stripes, you're coming back for your apples. And we do not want to let go of any of you all. We will see you soon. Mr. Chromebook. That's a good suggestion. All right, do we have a motion to convene to executive session?
I'll make a motion to convene to executive session for matters regarding taxation and Amherst Office Personnel Association negotiations.
Do I have a second for that? All those in favor of adjourning to executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.